Hi, this is John Pieper from Redeemer Fellowship Church in Monroe, Michigan. I want to talk today about the distinction between protesting and peacemaking. As you know, there's a lot of protesting going on in our nation today, and there's a lot of it's nonviolent, and that can be appropriate. There's no question. Some of it, as we see in the media, is violent, and that's not right. But my concern today is more than we need protesters, we need actual peacemakers. Yes, protesting can evolve into peacemaking, but the numbers really drop off. I'm looking for a few peacemakers to emerge that would make a real difference in our nation in regard to these difficult issues. In the 1970s, when the Kent State shooting happened, there were protests on university campuses across the nation. At that time, I was a philosophy major at Northern Illinois University. I was also a brand new follower of Jesus, and I was in the Illinois Army National Guard. These things didn't all seem to fit together, but there I was. So when I was on campus, I was trying to check out and hear what my fellow students were saying. Once I attended in an auditorium a meeting that was supposed to gather various sides on the issues together to discuss this for the sake of understanding and coming together, at least in terms of listening to one another. That particular meeting turned out to be an angry meeting with people getting very upset at each other. As far as I could tell when I left the meeting, the goal of understanding one another did not happen because really listening to the other person's perspectives is hard work. I discovered that everyone who is protesting is not necessarily interested in the hard work of peacemaking and reconciliation. And the hard work of peacemaking and reconciliation is just that. And scholars who study these things say the same thing. Everyone is not interested in the hard work, the long-term work of reconciliation and peacemaking. For example, there's a scholar, a Ugandan scholar at Duke University. His name is Emmanuel Katongole, and I'm just reading right now a book by him, so I'm becoming aware of his thinking. And he is the co-founder, and co-director of Duke University's Center for Reconciliation. And in his book on reconciliation, Katongole writes this: "We have been at many reconciliation events where people shed tears and exchange hugs. But after those events, we always ask, what's next? People usually go back to their normal way of life. What and where are the patterns of life and social structures to sustain a vision of reconciliation? Without them, reconciliation devolves into a one-time event." So I feel quite certain that even with the nonviolent protesters, the vast majority of them will go back to their normal way of life, and precious few will seriously engage in the long, hard, committed life to reconciliation and peacemaking. I had a friend call me last week. He was on Facebook, and there on Facebook, this friend of mine told me that there's this person who is supposed to be a follower of Jesus, but is advocating throwing bombs at the police. And my friend said, it upset me to read this. He said I had to respond. And my response to that is, well, a protester is not necessarily a peacemaker. And the bomb-throwing Jesus lover is wrong. Now, so was the police officer that killed George Floyd. And so are the terrorists who are destroying the livelihoods of others. But Jesus said this: when we meet adversaries, people who we feel are against us. The radical Jesus said we are to love even our enemies, not annihilate them. So he doesn't say, blessed are the bomb throwers, for they shall be, honored by God. He says, blessed are the peacemakers, not the peace lovers. Peace loving is not the same thing as peacemaking. And for that matter, Martin Luther King Jr. didn't advocate physical retaliation against people. You can see his strategy in his famous letter from Birmingham jail, or you can read Lewis Baldwin's book, Never to Leave Us Alone, the prayer life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or you could read Howard Thurman's brilliant Jesus and the Disinherited, which is a book that Dr. King carried with him. And I am aware to a certain degree of this discussion within the Black church community, because it's been my great privilege to teach for many years at Payne Theological Seminary in Wilberforce, Ohio. And Payne Theological Seminary is the oldest freestanding Black seminary in the nation. Look, any fool can wage war, but followers of Jesus are called to wage peace. And so as a pastor, over the years, I've found wars and rumors of wars in marriages, in families, in churches, in communities, and in nations. And it's this ongoing systemic evil that's part of our fallen humanity. So a Jesus-following peacemaker has a full-time job. Waging peace never stops this side of the age to come. And yet, I personally know some people who wage peace, and they bless and inspire me. They say things like, "Come, let us reason together." They grieve over injustice. They refuse to fight injustice with more injustice, which just breeds the same. These are the ones upon whom the Lord pours out his blessing. And so I've taken Matthew chapter 5, verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, and extrapolated the following from it. Blessed are those who put things together rather than tear things apart. Blessed are those who, more than loving peace, make peace. Blessed are those who stay when the going gets tough, rather than leave because the going is tough. Blessed are those who go to the other person rather than tell others about the other person. Blessed are those who deal lovingly with their anger rather than sleep on their anger. Blessed are the problem solvers rather than the complainers. Blessed are the understanders rather than the judgers. Blessed are the participants rather than the observers. Blessed are the doers rather than the talkers. Blessed are those who wage peace, not war. We have a need for peacemakers. Maybe that's you. Blessings to you.